Hello, hello. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing this morning? Do I still do coaching? Not recently. I just haven't really had the time. I think I would have to charge a lot more money than I currently do to do coaching, just because I can't prioritize it for my current rate, and I don't really feel comfortable charging more than my current rate, or at least not a ton more, so it's hard for me to justify doing it at the moment. Is this on my Twitch also? No. So it's going to be happening. This is a replay review. We're going to be doing some replay review, and then we're going to head over to Twitch and do some live gameplay there. The main reason for doing that is that I got to save the VODs of these for the Patreon supporters. And then do the streaming on Twitch. Just works out better. We are actually going to be starting with a support replay. We've got one from sgtsarcasm. I'm going to be looking at some Coddle. So if you guys are interested in learning to play some Coddle, here we go. We're going to hop right into it. And let's see. Sergeant Sarcasm says, I was playing Coddle this game. It was kind of a panic pick since it connected while I was in the bathroom. I know I could have played it better. I made a lot of mistakes, played worse than my previous game, but it's the most recent game that wasn't a stomp. So we're going to go ahead and hop into this. I believe Sergeant Sarcasm is Archon. I don't totally remember, but I think he's like Crusader, Archon, something like that. Hello, Hakon. How are you? All right.
No epic fail today, my friends. 'Tis brilliantly clear that this one is in the bag.
So, is this position 4 Coddle? It's like position 4 Coddle, position 5 Tiny. Tiny went position 5 Tiny, but went Echo Saber Daedalus. All right, it's gonna be one of those games. Gonna be one of those games. Interesting. Not a huge fan of position 4 Coddle, if I'm being perfectly honest. It doesn't really seem to do very much that you want a position 4 to do at the current moment, but we'll see what we can do to make this game a little bit better. You're laning with a Leshrac, and you're against a Spectre Venomancer. That sounds... Oh, no, Spectre Grimstroke. Okay. So, I'm not really going to comment too much on, like, general Keeper of the Light 4 stuff. Let's focus more so on just 4 role and like, what that role entails. So, first and foremost, we have to remember that we are a support. So in our lane, we need to be making sure that our keeper has a good lane. That is the first thing that we have to do. So how do we do that on wave number 1? It is to secure last hits and deny them to the other team so we get an experience advantage. So what's the first thing that we see happening right now? Range creep getting low. We have Illuminate, which will do 100 damage in 1 second. So we should probably be trying to secure this with our 100 damage Illuminate instead of our 45 right click. So if they deny this range creep, which they look like they were about to do, and just messed up the timing, that would be a big deal because you guys would instantly fall behind in terms of experience. So you have to make sure that you are paying attention to the creeps on the first couple of waves, because there's nothing else to do. Like, yes, you can hit the heroes, but it's more important to pay attention to the creeps, and the creeps are everything in the laning stage anyway. So this whole, I'm really not a fan of how you're playing this. I don't know why you're blasting the creep wave every single time. You did it to the first wave, you're doing it to the second wave. What is the purpose of doing that? Are you trying to push the wave? Are you trying to just do damage to the heroes? Have a reason for using your skills, and more importantly than that, have multiple reasons, because I'm actually okay with you blasting the wave as long as when you blast the wave you're also securing a range creep and hitting both of the heroes, because that does like 3 different things, right? It pushes the wave, it gets you secured range creeps, and it also harasses. That's a lot better than just kind of randomly blasting the creep wave, hitting the Spectre, missing the Grimstroke, and then just hurting all of the creeps so that they're easier to deny. So as we can see, you know, they should be just denying this range creep, and if they do, this is entirely your fault. Okay, so that deny is your fault. Now, if you are going to push the wave like this, the only thing you should be doing afterwards is to pull this. So this camp has to be pulled here, and if it's not, then you're not playing support. As you can see, the creep wave is meeting directly in front of Spectre's tower once again. This is 3 waves in a row that have stopped right here, which means that Spectre is the happiest carry in the world. He's one of the weakest laning carries in the entire game, and yet is somehow having a completely free lane against 2 ranged heroes, both of which are very good at spamming their spells. So this is a big issue, and just kind of showing that you don't really understand what your job is as a support, period. So again, you blast the wave, okay, you do a little bit of damage to the Spectre, kind of mess up some last hits for the Leshrac. This range creep is basically just being completely ignored, and should have been denied once again. So that's basically 3 range creeps in a row that should have been denied by the other team because you guys are not focusing on the creeps. So if you are playing a lane, number 1, creeps are important. The heroes don't matter. Number 2, decide whether you want to push and pull the wave or just bully the other team off the wave and control the creep wave where it is. And so far, neither of those things have happened. Third, I would just say, like, how can you make this Leshrac's lane as easy as possible? Are we blocking this camp to stop them from pulling? No. Are we keeping the other team off of our Leshrac? Kind of by blasting the wave. I'm not I'm not entirely sure what's going on. You seem to just kind of be randomly casting spells. And once again, we're missing another pull. So if I were to be playing this lane, here's what I would do. If I was this position 4 Keeper of the Light, I would, first of all, probably not skill Illuminate. I would probably skill Blinding Light. Second of all, I would right-click the Spectre or the Grimstroke incessantly. So far, you have only used your spells to do damage. You haven't actually right-clicked a single hero one time. I still have 6 tangos. At 2 minutes into the game, I would probably have 3 tangos, if not less, because I would be trading my regen for their regen to try and get them low so that the Leshrac has a regen advantage. Third, I would probably end up pushing the lane just because the Leshrac is pretty good at that. You're pretty good at that. So even using Blinding Light, you can still kind of push the lane because it's going to affect the creep wave equilibrium. So shove the lane into the tower, side pull this at minute 1, and then just continue to do that over and over and over until you have a 2 or 3 level advantage. And then every time that Leshrac wants to get aggressive, you can help him by Chakra Magicking him constantly. This is your best skill. Chakra Magic is the best skill on Caudle, aside from the ultimate, and you need to be leveling this up. If you're going Illuminate into Blinding Light, you're not going to have enough mana to sustain what you're doing, and frankly, you're not really doing your job, because this hero is all about messing with the creep last hits, and then making sure that your core has an exceptional game because you give them infinite mana and lower the cooldown on their spammable spells. So at this point, I would say, why even play Caudle? You might as well, based on how you're playing, you might as well be like a bounty hunter or a pudge, just sitting in the trees missing hooks. I'm not trying to be too harsh, I'm just being realistic with your impact as a Keeper of the Light support in this lane. You know, like, if your only goal is to harass the other heroes, then just pick something like Queen of Pain. Pick Skywrath Mage. Pick Zeus. You know, pick a hero that actually just harasses the other heroes. Don't pick Caudle, whose purpose is entirely different than those heroes. And so you got to just figure out what your purpose is in the lane, how you actually help your team, and then play to that. So let's go ahead and move past this, because this laning stage is just, it's not really a thing in my opinion at this point. You're not really doing your job. I do want to go to level 6, because I think that level 6 timing on this hero is very important, because your ultimate is incredibly fight winning. It's one of the best ultimates in the entire game, period. And how you use it is super important. So you are maxing the chakra now, which is good. And you pick up your ult, and you're just kind of blasting the wave, giving Spectre free farm. You know, he's very happy with how this lane's gone, obviously, because he hasn't been pressured at all. And now you need to move to somewhere that you can have positive impact with your team. I would say either you need to go... Dude, what the fuck is this? How is this position 5 tiny 2 levels higher than the Juggernaut? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so you need to use your ultimate, because it's super powerful. It will win you a fight. And so to do that, you need to anticipate where's the most important fight going to break out soon, and what heroes do I need to shut down with my ultimate. So far we're seeing something, you know, just, this is low level Dota. Everybody's very static. They're still sitting in their lane at 12 minutes into the game. Everybody's basically just hitting creeps and waiting for something else to happen, and then they use their skills. But Tidehunter, Monkey King, this is a pretty tough lane for your Juggernaut Tiny. They are not having a good time. If you go down there, I don't even know if you really have the impact necessary to do anything. We saw them just use Ravage, so maybe you could fight at this point, but I would hazard a guess that coming here and trying to kill them is not going to work out very well. So I think the play is that you need to get aggressive up here, and your Leshrac should have full mana, because you're chakra-ing him off cooldown, and then you just go. Just use your Will-O-Wisp and say, hey, kill the Grimstroke, kill the Spectre. And then he pops all of his stuff, you run at him, they're stuck inside your little Will-O-Wisp, and then you kill them, and then you take the tower. So make a call, say, let's kill them and take their tower. That's all you have to say. People will listen to that kind of call, and then you just use your skills. This whole static laning stage, 13 minutes into the game, is super bad, because you're kind of just letting the game happen without having any control over it, and based off of their lineup, you will lose this game like 100% of the time in the late game, because they have Monkey King, Tide, Venomancer, and Spectre against cores that are like, I mean, your heroes are good, but I wouldn't say that this should be the outcome of the game if I were just to look at their heroes and your heroes. So yeah, you know, be aggressive, use your skills, force this game forward into an actual, you know, momentum. So you wait for them to go on your Leshrac, and then you use your skill defensively to try and save your Leshrac. And let's be realistic, even if you do save him and Leshrac runs back to base, did you really accomplish anything? Because Leshrac spends all of his time walking back to base. He has to heal, he comes back to lane. It's almost as if he died, and your skill is still on cooldown for 2 minutes. So anytime you have a big ultimate, you need to go do something with it that accomplishes a positive impact on the game to push the game forward. And I really think that just focusing on that, of like figuring out ways to push the game forward, is the #1 thing that's lacking from low MMR. All right, we're going to move on. We've got position 4, Void Spirit, Archon 3 game, Friends replay. This is from Fazy. He feels that the biggest issue he wants insight on is his general positioning on the map. What do you do to improve / fix the creep wave equilibrium if position 3 messes it up? The lane was not working out. Do you stick with trying to give the Underlord a good game or do something else? Based on what framework do you make this call? Number 4, what major things to focus on as a position 4, especially in the Archon through Ancient bracket? Is getting some farm and taking over the game the only way to consistently win games as a position 4? He's also battling frustration of old school player who used to be good and now struggles to play around the MMR that he's at. So there are a lot of interesting things to talk about here, and I'm kind of glad that we're sticking at position 4 so we can hammer in a little bit of these points that we just covered. Like we just said in the previous one, what is your purpose in the laning stage? So right now we know that we're laning with an Underlord and we are against a Lifestealer and a Grimstroke, okay? Grimstroke, pretty weak laner unless they are getting a kill combo going, which they can do with Lifestealer, but usually takes a few levels to ramp up. Underlord, fairly self-sufficient laner in most cases, except for against like the lane dominators such as Monkey King, Razor, Slark, who like to play against the Underlord. And so I would say that you kind of just want to get the Underlord to the point where he's just pretty self-sufficient, and then you can maybe look elsewhere. Because if we look at their heroes, who is very susceptible to dying? The Grimstroke, the Sniper, and the Dazzle. Tidehunter, not really happening. Lifestealer, not really happening. So your hero, in essence, is a kill setup hero. You're not, that's basically just what the 4 role is like a hero that controls the tempo of the game and sets up their teammates for kills or even just gets kills themselves.
With my thanks.
So I don't really think that you need to do this at level 1, personally. I feel like you guys could just play the lane at level 1 pretty easily because they present almost no threat to you. That would be the first thing I would say. Second of all, if you are going to do this pull, I would highly recommend that you catch the creep wave here and you pull it through this camp so that you block this camp and stop them from being able to then pull the wave back immediately after because you're gonna push the wave by doing this, but then they can just reset the equilibrium by pulling the next one. So you want to block this camp so that they don't have access to do this. So you're doubling the wave here. You get a courier kill. You TP out. I mean, this seems okay. You know, like it's going to accomplish something that's pretty good. However, I don't see very many high-level players doing this at the moment. Most of them will... Sometimes they will double wave, sometimes they won't, but they will almost always actually pull it physically to in between the tower if they're going to do this. Or pull it in front of the tower. They almost never just double the wave up and then TP home because it's sort of like a less efficient form of what you could do by just physically pulling it to the correct place. Because now basically Underlord has spent the first 2 minutes of the game without support. He's down a level. He could potentially be forced off of this wave and miss out on a bunch of experience. And the Grimstroke is just going to go pull. Like he's already headed over to go pull. So you need to be over here stopping this from happening. Because what you just did is you set the Underlord up with a good equilibrium, but now it's just going to be reset because you're not doing your job. Remember, as a 4, your goal is to make your offlaner's lane easier. And I would argue that you've almost made his lane harder because you didn't support him in a lane that he probably could have done fine in if you had supported him, and then you didn't block the pull, and you sent a double wave into him with like a -1 level advantage. So I actually think that this is a pretty big problem because now you've taken a lane where Underlord should be fine. Okay, now he's level 3, but he's also very low on HP. He should be fine in this lane from level 1. And you've actually kind of given him a lane that is now fairly difficult. Right? He's low on resources. He's being harassed away. He has to run. Probably should just run home at this point and TP back. But he's going to sit here at very low HP and get no last hits, right? He's 5 last hits to Lifestealer's 11. You can see that the enemy tie-downer is also having a bad game, but at the same time, with all the work that you did getting the lane in front of his tower, I feel like this lane should be going better than it is. And I think, to me, that just says that the way that you did get the equilibrium in front of his tower is incorrect. It's not a good way to do it. And you can see now that, like, with him at low resources, you at low resources, what are you supposed to do now? What are you really supposed to do? And you know, so you're kind of just like without purpose in this lane. It comes back to the idea that we had from the Coddle game, which is like, what is your purpose in the game? How do you want to play this? I would say that you want to get your Underlord to the point where he's self-sufficient, and then you can go mid and just kill the Sniper over and over and over with the Kunkka. X into Aether Remnant into Torrent should be a kill on Sniper constantly. But first, we have to make sure that Underlord has a good game, because you don't want to just ruin a lane that shouldn't be ruined. You know, this kill combo is only working because both of these heroes are much higher level than they should be, and because Underlord is solo against them. So you need to be here, and you need to figure out how you can impact. Like, if you went for example, if you went for an Orb of Venom, and then you just went and right-clicked this guy, and just forced him to use Inkswell to run away or pressure you, instead of having to use it, instead of being free to use it to combo the Underlord, how much harder would this lane be for them to play? How much easier would it be for your Underlord? I think that you need to take your resources, your body, and use it as something useful, and potentially just break up their combo. Like, if you just are constantly over here trading with the Grimstroke, even if you have to use all of your tangos, all of your resources just to occupy his time, a 1v1 of Underlord versus Lifestealer is going to be completely fine for the Underlord. He should never be pressured off the creep wave. He should free farm. The Lifestealer will still farm, but that's just Lifestealer in general. There's almost no chance that you guys pressure the Lifestealer with your current hero combo. So instead of allowing him to free farm and also kill your Underlord, you might as well just get your Underlord to free farm and your Lifestealer, and the enemy Lifestealer will also free farm. So good job getting the bounties. Obviously very important. But once again, I have to ask, you know, why is your Underlord dying 2v1? Where are you? Right? Why is this happening? This is a dumb play from him. Probably shouldn't be doing this by himself. It's not always entirely your fault. But I would say that if this guy is not so weak, if he's not already heavily pressured, he probably doesn't feel the need to do this. He probably doesn't feel the need to try and catch up by taking a stack in a very dangerous spot. Maybe the wave is somewhere else because he's just firestorming the wave. I think you need to enable this Underlord more, and that's kind of going to be the biggest problem in this game. Let's move a little bit forward, though, because you wanted to ask about, like, how to move around the map on this hero. I am curious to see Sniper. He's 2-0-1. That seems like that probably shouldn't be happening for a hero that's very susceptible to death. I think that this hero probably should die a couple of times. And it should probably be you enabling that to happen. As a 4, you definitely want to be rotating towards the mid lane around rune timings. Very, very important to help your team secure the runes. Obviously, Underlord is dead, so you're just trying to suck some experience. But I think all of this just becomes so much easier if this guy is not 2 levels lower than the lifestealer because he's had no lane, because he's had no support basically. So we do go mid. But again, it just feels very purposeless. Like, you're going mid, but it doesn't really seem like you're like, hey, Kunkka, let's kill the sniper. And if you wanted to do that, you know, smoking to mid, very, very optimal way to gank mid. Looking at the sniper, does he have resources? He's full HP and mana. Is this kill viable? I mean, it probably is, but you would need the Kunkka to land an X. So it's a little tough at this point in the game. But you're kind of tripped. You're like, okay, nothing's happening here. So you go to here, you walk back, and then you just TP bottom because you see action happening bottom. Is going bottom actually going to enable you to do anything? You're against a Dazzle and a Tidehunter who's having a not great game, but is he really killable with Anchor Smash? Can you guys actually do anything here? Are you guys going to be able to get kills? Maybe, I guess. But does your PA want 3 heroes in his lane taking experience, or does the PA want to just get level 6 as quickly as possible and just farm freely? I feel like by adding another hero to this lane, you are now forcing the PA to fight, which is not what PA wants to be doing. PA wants to be farming. So here we are now. There's 4 heroes in the lane. Sniper is free farming in the mid because Kunkka felt obligated to come bottom to actually help you win this fight. Now Kunkka's diving tower. Okay, cool. We're all low. Sniper comes bottom, gets a free kill, and we'll probably head back to the mid lane. You know, I kind of feel like this whole rotation to the bottom lane is actually bad, you know? And in fact, it is bad. You lost 2 heroes, you killed a support. So definitely not a good trade in general, but just the idea of it is not good because you're putting more and more heroes into PA's lane, whereas you could force the heroes out of the lane. Just imagine if you gank Sniper, Dazzle TPs to save Sniper, now PA has a 2v1 against the Tide instead of PA suddenly having a 4v3 in his lane when he has no farm. So you can manipulate where the other heroes are to give your team a better game by where you pressure. And I really feel like this is the easiest hero to pressure. You have a kill combo with the Kunkka. Even if you aren't necessarily getting kills on the Sniper, you're probably forcing Grim, you're probably forcing Dazzle to the mid lane, and that gives your side lane heroes much better lanes as well. So think about how you and your positioning affects the enemy supports and where they position, and in that way you can kind of manipulate scenarios where, like, if you force 2 supports mid, then you can go gank the Lifestealer or you can gank the Tidehunter after that, right? So you take away their support and then you rotate to their lane and kill them instead of just running into them where they're already set up to fight you. Hopefully that makes sense. What's up, Elevated? Thank you for stressing pulling in games where I notice I get 5+ pulls, the lane wins by default as 4. Dude, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you are below Ancient Bracket, all you have to do is pull. Like, legitimately, all you have to do is just consistently pull the lane and you will gain a huge amount of MMR. Because nobody else is doing it. Alright. Here we go. We've got a replay from HybridTHeory. It says, winning replay. I find that sometimes I've won the mid lane comfortably, but don't stomp them. What can I do differently to turn doing well into doing amazing? Okay, Void Spirit. Welcome, Matthew. It's only 1:30 a.m. Australian time. Damn, dude. That is middle of the night. Middle of the night, and you're watching me. You crazy. I missed some replays? What are you talking about? I have not missed any replays, my friend. Alright, so in this lane we are Void Spirit against Invoker. You said that you did well in this lane. So let's see if that's actually the case. Definitely need to be sending out a salve. Looks like you just did. Melee hero against Invoker. Usually pretty solid. There's the salve. Null Talisman. I definitely like the idea of going bottle this game. Actually, let's go back to this because mid lane is very much about rune control. So, knowing that runes are coming up in 10 seconds, we should be trying our absolute hardest to push this lane out. So it gets pushed under our tower. Cool. Just right click these creeps. Kill them as quickly as possible. Got 10 seconds. Takes us about 4 seconds to get to the rune. We're missing a range creep because we've made the decision. So this is just very indecisive, right? Either commit 100% to getting last hits or commit to getting the runes. And I would hazard to say that getting the runes is more important, especially this early on in the game. So don't just do half and half, right? We skipped like 2 or 3 last hits, and then we also tried to get the rune, but we went late. So we missed the last hits and we missed the rune. Just make a decision and follow through with it. That is a huge piece of advice for Dota players of all levels. Is decide on a plan and execute it instead of just kind of randomly doing stuff and trying to do multiple things at the same time. I do like that you're focusing the Forge Spirit when he spawns it. That's very important. We push out the lane. Bounty runes are coming up in 40 seconds. I would consider walking to whichever side has the most kill potential. So if we look at bottom, we've got a Dazzle, but Dazzle's low. Beastmaster just died, unfortunate. Anti-Mage is very low. Shadow Shaman is also very low. It does have a salve, but if we're clicking around, we can then see, all right, Mirana, Axe Mirana, this is a tough lane. Rotating top, it's probably not going to happen to get a kill. But if you rotate to the bottom side of the map, you could potentially get a kill and get the banner runes at the same time. So being less static in the lanes, very important. So we do make our rotation, but look at the time. 15 seconds late, right? So they get both bounties. Now let's go back and look, actually. How low was Anti-Mage when he made this? Okay. 300 health. So if you're here, when Anti-Mage comes up here, maybe you don't kill him, but you certainly send him back to Fountain. So you essentially kill him. And you get the bounty. So that would be pretty impactful, right? Either killing or sending the Anti-Mage back to base, and also getting the banner in that your team didn't get. That's a big deal. Now that we have our 6, we should 100% be looking for kills. This is like a free kill, basically. As soon as you hit 6, free kill. So to do that, you need to decide, how do I get kills? Who do I kill? And it looks like to me you've decided that you're going to go for Axe, who is probably the hardest kill on their team, aside from maybe Mirana. So let's think a little bit about what's important. Who is important to shut down in this game? Anti-Mage, Invoker. Axe, you know, he's going to get a blink, but is blink even good against Wraith King? No. Is Anti-Mage good against Wraith King? Yes. Is Invoker good against Wraith King? Yes. So those two heroes are definitely better against Wraith King, who is your win condition, than Axe is. Second of all, they're both easier to kill. Invoker, very easy to kill if you buy Dust. So you need to set yourself up for success. Send out Dust anticipating that you are going to hit level 6, and then you can dive Invoker as soon as you hit level 6, and you can probably get a kill. So send out the Dust, and then just kill the Invoker. That's how you snowball this lane. This guy shouldn't be allowed to sit in the lane once you hit level 6, because you can just dive him. And you can either kill him or send him back to base. Second of all, you pick up the haste, and then you immediately go top, whereas I would hazard to say that going bottom not only is more likely that you get kills because Beastmaster and Dazzle are just stronger heroes than Lion and Wraith King at this point in the game, but it also impacts a hero that's more important to the outcome of the game. Right? So you come up here, okay, cool, we kill the Axe, but we use all of our resources to do so. And Axe doesn't really care. He's just going to come back, do the same thing he was doing before. Whereas if we were to go bottom and kill the Anti-Mage, maybe we get a tower. Like, we have Beastmaster. I know it's only 6 minutes into the game, but there is a catapult here, and we have a Beastmaster. If you kill both of these heroes or force them both out of lane, you legitimately could take their tower at 6 minutes in with a Beastmaster Dazzle. So that's pretty high impact also. Or you can just force the Invoker out of lane. Obviously, a hero that relies entirely on levels needs to be in the creep wave all the time. Just think about what your rotations are actually doing instead of just like, I get kill. Good. You know? Alright. So we're laning. Bottom's losing. We're farming this medium camp, even though we're terrible at jungling. We're late to getting the next rune. Now we have our regen. So once we have our regen, we definitely want to take a trade with this. We want to play as aggressively as possible, knowing that we can just instantly refill our health. We definitely don't want to play super passively, using our astral steps to farm creeps. We need to be running at this Invoker. Force him out of lane. Stop him from just freely hitting creeps. Look at the bottom lane. What's happening here? Are they diving my teammates? I don't know. I'm not moving my camera, so I don't really know what's going on. So now you move your camera after they've been under your tower for about 30 seconds. If you had TP'd 15 seconds earlier, you can probably get a kill. That's a great opportunity to get a kill, actually. When they're both right in front of your tower like this. Sure, this guy's not level 6, but if you say, hey, go on the Shadow Shaman right now, and then you TP, this guy dies, 100%. And then you use your regen and walk back to mid. That's another great use of the regen rune. This is not a great use of anything. You seem very content to just like hit creeps and hope for the best at this point. Again, you're going top, and it's like, who cares? Who cares about these heroes? I'm not saying it's a bad rotation. You obviously stopped the dive, so that's cool. That's good. And then I do like that you just pressured the Invoker. This is good. This is what you should have done as soon as you got the regen rune. That was really good. And you can see, you dive him, you force him out of lane, you force him to ghost walk away. And then you pick up a haste. This is correct. This is what I want to see. Look how easy it is. Super easy. This is exactly what you should have been doing like 3-4 minutes ago. Come back to mid, push out the lane. Kill the catapult, that's good. Okay, we're TPing bottom. This stuff's going down. A little dangerous, but you're pretty much unkillable. So I would say that rotation's probably pretty good. This is a little insane going in right now. You have no skills off cooldown, but you're also very strong. So I'm cool with that. You force a TP, which is good. And now you can just go back and heal, chill. You force a bunch of people mid. Wraith King is rotated mid, so he's taking the space that you've just made for him. So that's definitely a positive thing. And then I would say you probably just want to look to continue to hunt. So I would basically just say cut out all of this. Don't ever farm these medium camps. This is the biggest problem that I have so far with your gameplay, is that you're focused on farming this camp and this camp. And if you just stop farming these camps and you use this time to go rotate and kill people, you'll have way, way more impact on this hero. I know that you won, I know that you snowballed, I know that you played this hero pretty well in this game because you did carry your team. But stop farming those medium camps on a hero like Void Spirit. It's not your job. You're not good at it. Spend your time in a more efficient manner by pressuring the other team. All right. Moving on. Is using Yules purely offensively a good enough reason to buy it as your first item on Void Spirit, especially against heroes like Anti-Mage and Mirana? I don't think you should ever buy an item to use for purely one thing, unless it's like Daedalus on Sven or something like that. But if you're buying a utility item exclusively to use it offensively, it's probably not good. Yules is definitely good in that game because mana regeneration is good against Anti-Mage. The setup is good against these slippery heroes. Being able to dodge the Invoker spells, very good. The Dispel could be useful at some point. What's the worst item I see Necro players always buying? Probably Dagon. Probably Dagon would be the worst item I would see a Necro player buy. Holy Locket is better than Dagon on Necro. By far. By far. Alright, Sand King. I've been playing Sand King in favor of other offlane picks because I find my games frequently lack a reliable stun. However, Sand King seems difficult to lane, especially versus ranged hero combos like this match. Also, find that I'm often the initiator and die first in every fight. Would like tips on better survival when initiating team fights, especially when the team is not consistently responding to your calls. Okay. So, we're going into this lane knowing for a fact that there is a Drow. Because what other hero would be there, right? So we know that we're against a Drow, and we're probably against a Drow Lion, because, you know, mostly position 5. Could be a Pudge, could be a Shaker, I suppose, but definitely going to be a Drow, and more than likely going to be a range support. So we need to come to lane prepared to deal with that, okay? So how are we going to play this lane? Are we going to play the lane by pushing the lane and pulling? Because that seems pretty good against ranged heroes that are very weak at tanking melee creeps. Do we have a kill combo to set up with our Bro Strike? The answer is no. We have a Nature's Prophet support. So I would say that you probably are going to be doing the Caustic Sandstorm build. At one point in Caustic, maxing out Sandstorm, getting Bro Strike when necessary, and just shoving the lane into the Drow over and over and over. Because Drow is very bad at dealing with that. And you can even just cut the wave at some point. And to do that, to play Sandstorm build, you're going to need sentries. Because if they have sentries and you Sandstorm, you die. But if they don't have sentries in lane because you're dewarding them, then you win. So I think if you're going to go for this and you're against 2 ranged heroes and you don't really have any support from your Nature's Prophet, you need to just pull the second wave. You need to get to this lane to the point where you can just sit in your Sandstorm, push the wave, cut the wave. You don't want to lane against them. There's no reason to ever try and trade as a melee hero against 2 ranged heroes. You just avoid playing against them because there's no way for you to take good trades. So cut the second wave, farm the second wave, get Sandstorm, push the wave into Drow, pull the side lane, the side camp. You know, get your second point in Sandstorm, push the lane into Drow, cut the next wave, and then once you have like 1 point in Caustic and 2 points in Sandstorm. I mean, honestly, once you even have 2 points in Sandstorm, you just go behind their tower and you just cut the wave. Like, you don't need to deal with this. There's no reason to deal with this at all. So we get Sandstorm, cool. They're pushing the wave into us, this is fine. Alright, now we're pushing the wave into them. So now we need to go behind their tower and catch the next wave. You can sacrifice this and just catch the next wave in between their tier 1, tier 2. I mean, it's kind of nice that they're just pushing the wave into you constantly, but let's look at your last hits. This is not great. You could just have a completely free farm lane. Like, there's actually nothing that they can do. In fact, if you're in between their tier 1, tier 2, and you're farming like this camp as well, you have like 40 last hits at this point. The lion comes over to try and contest you. Nature's Prophet TP's in. You just kill the lion over and over and over. Easiest game you've ever had in your life. Like, right now, you're struggling. You're struggling. You're heading back to base. Drow's being able to play the range game against you. Lion's level 4. He's being super annoying. He's casting random spells because he doesn't give a fuck. And you're just playing like a huge wuss because you have to. Because you're the same level. One level 4 hero against 2 level 4 heroes doesn't feel very good. You should be like level 6 already. You should have this camp farmed several times. This camp could be farmed. All the creeps could be farmed. You never even have to deal with the drow or the lion hitting you once for the entire lane. You never get mana burned to the point where you have to buy a soul ring. All this could be just completely avoided by cutting the wave. So let's move on to team fights because there's nothing else to say about the laning stage. Get hooked. Feel like we could have just burrowed out and been fine. I also gotta say, you need somebody on your team to build a pipe. You desperately need a pipe. This guy's going damage. This guy's going damage. This guy's going damage. This guy's going damage. Magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage. You guys need a pipe. You need somebody to be tanky. That should be you. You're building to be an initiator when you already have a Legion commander who's an initiator. Somebody has to build tanky items. If you guys have a pipe, if you guys have a Lotus Orb, nobody on your team dies and everybody on their team dies. Lotus Orb, very good item this game. You've got single targets that you can dispel or counter. You've got stuns you can dispel. You've got a silence you can dispel. Tons of stuns you can dispel. Lotus Orb is literally the best item in the game, in this particular game that we're looking at, for Sand King. So we solo kill with Epicenter. We're spending a lot of time playing solo, I'm noticing. I understand the idea behind the blade mail, but I just don't think it's necessary. Like, I assume you bought it because it gives you armor and it kind of deters the drow from hitting you. But if you just have a Lotus Orb, you shouldn't die anyway because you can just dispel the silence. It gives you more armor and it gives you the ability to save your teammates too. So you definitely, I don't know. This is, you know, this is just like classic pub mentality, is that you're playing for yourself over playing for your team. And I don't really have a great solution to that other than just like, you got to think about Dota as a team game. This is a team game. There's 5 heroes on each side. And you win games consistently by thinking about how those 5 heroes work together. So if you're just thinking about your hero If you're only playing your hero to play like for solo kills, to play for benefiting yourself all the time, then you are going to hold yourself back drastically in your improvement at this game, because unless you are massively better than everybody that you're playing against, you cannot solo carry games. Period. Not possible. So either you can play well with your team and help your team play better, or you can be astronomically better than everybody that you're playing against. And my guess is that you're probably, no offense, not astronomically better than everybody in this bracket. So your next best option, and probably the best option, period, is to play well with your team and enable your team to have a good game. So how do we do that? We solve the problems that our team is facing. And in this case, the problems that our team is facing is having initiation, is having survivability, and is having lane pressure. So, you know, shove the waves and then go play to your team. Spend no time jungling. Shove the wave, go to your team. Shove the wave, go to your team. Buy a smoke, say, let's go play top. Go kill this drow. You go kill the drow, you take their tower. You seem very content to just be farming camps, waiting for fights to start, and then you show up and hope for the best. And that is just not the correct way to play Dota. You know, alternatively, you could go for something like Yules. Yules would be pretty good this game too. Like if Lina Yules combos you, she uses Yules and goes for Light Strike, you could just Yules yourself and cancel that out. That would also allow you to dispel the silence, allow you to cancel the pudge, that kind of stuff. So there's lots of things that you could be building aside from this very, like, I'm important, focused way of thinking about the game. You're just looking for, like, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know what any of these items do aside from like the blink. Blink makes sense, obviously, and the arcane's fine. But the blade mail, the Aghanim Scepter, why? What does it do? Is anybody on their team actually that hard to catch? No. So you don't need an Ags. Are you against a Zeus who's canceling your blink dagger every single fight? No, you don't need an Ags. You're just buying an Ags because it's an Ags, and you feel like you want to be able to burrow strike from a million miles away. Alright, so here we go. We smoke up. We're going into high ground. Drow is the target that we're going on. Unfortunately, we missed our initiation. That sucks. We have Essence Ring to keep ourselves alive, but we don't use it. If we have a Lotus Orb there, we definitely can just unsilence ourselves in Sandstorm, walk away. If we have a Yules, we can Yules ourselves and walk away. But we missed our initiation. I actually think the play was probably fine as long as you were planning on getting towers out of it. You don't want to ever just smoke into random places for no actual purpose, but I think the play was fine. Execution, not great, and definitely not helped by our itemization. I do like the use of your buyback. I think that buyback is pretty good. We shouldn't have had to use it, but I do like that you actually just snap bot back, realizing that the BKBs are going down, and if I show up and I have access to get back into the fight, I can potentially turn this around. So I'm a big fan of that buyback and how you executed once you got back into the fight. So that's good. But once again, we're back to farming jungle creeps. Your hero is so good at pushing waves, they should never ever be able to do this. They should never be able to just walk down a lane. Here's one of the biggest things that I've been working on recently in my own game, is that anytime that there's like a fight that's lost, anytime there's a fight that's won, you have to immediately look at the creep waves, okay? So this creep wave in mid doesn't really need to be pushed. They've got no barracks, so your creeps will push into them. This creep wave also doing fine. But I would definitely not farm my way back into my base. I would try to maybe farm these couple camps and then see where the other team is. Okay, there's a bunch showing mid, so I could go push this wave and make them come back. Right? If this wave is crashing into their barracks, they're going to have to stop pushing mid and they're going to have to come back to their base. But you're just allowing them to just walk down mid, and there's no pressure happening. You know, you could hide in the trees, make sure that nobody's there, and then you push this wave, and then they're like, uh-oh, we're going to lose barracks if we push this tier 2. So then either they push the tier 2 and lose barracks, or they come back and don't even pressure your team despite having your sniper dead. So that's how you can turn a bad situation, like losing a team fight, into not a bad situation by causing the other team to have to make a bad choice. And if you push this wave and you force them to come here, then you could also potentially just push this wave, hide out here, and catch this next wave, right? Because you haven't farmed all the way back into your base like you just did, and you catch this wave, and suddenly, even if they do decide, you know what, we'll sacrifice that Rax because we're going to go high ground because there's no sniper, now they have no creeps, right? This creep wave is dead because you caught it back here, and then what do? They just have to leave. You know, if your whole team is dead, but they have no creeps to push with, it doesn't matter. You don't have to defend because the creep waves are what actually unlocks being able to push high ground. So I think that we've covered pretty much everything you were asking about. If we go back to your final itemization, so you go for Greaves. You know what? I don't hate going for Greaves as your form of Dispel, but you went for Greaves like super late into the game. You bought a heart because you're trying to be more tanky, I guess. You know, this should just all be utility, man. Like, just buy a Force, buy a Lotus Orb, you can buy the Greaves. If you have those items, if you buy Yules, anything like that to dispel the silence. What is killing you? It's not physical damage. I mean, it is physical damage, but what's killing you is the stuns and the silences. If you can just walk away, you're very mobile. You have multiple escape mechanisms, but you have to be able to cast your spells to use them. So it's not being able to cast spells that is killing you. It's not the damage of the drow. What's up, Poopy Pants Boy? How are you? Shiva's Guard? I mean, it's okay. But again, it's just a very like singularly me-focused item. Also, there's no illusions to clear. I don't really think that Shiva's Guard is the item there. Shiva's Guard, what, 20 armor? I forget what it is. $15 armor. Lotus Orb, 10 armor. I mean, this is just so much better because it allows you to dispel and also save your teammates. Sand King is slept on. I could see that being the case. Seems like a pretty good hero. Is Dagger more advantageous in this game than Ags? Yeah, I would say so because you get it faster and you don't really need the Ags to like catch super slippery heroes because they have very stationary heroes on their team. All right, we are going to be watching a Chen replay next. And this is from Basileus, who says, I'm curious on your thoughts in this match overall and my role in it. My thoughts are I should have tri-lane top during the first bit of the game, and my itemization could have been a lot better instead of Locket. Yeah, well, anytime you're building Holy Locket, it's probably not the greatest decision that you've made. What's up, Mr. Bones? How are you, dude? Welcome.
My friends, this one is indubitably in the bag.
Okay, so you're playing position 4 Chen, and you have a safe lane Sand King? What's going on here? Or are you playing safe lane DK, but you're laning it in the bottom lane? That must be what's going on, right? DK's your carry, but you're laning it aggressively. Because you don't want to play against Timbersaw? Yeah, that makes sense. That seems fine. I definitely don't think you should be tri-laning into the Timbersaw. Unless you guys are 100% sure that you're going to get a kill. I would definitely just ignore this Timbersaw as much as possible. Also, I have noticed that most high-level Chen are not going Divine Favor level 1 anymore. They're going Holy Persuasion, and they're taking the enemy range creep and harassing with it. Because this gives bonus damage to the creeps, and it gives you essentially just like a second hero that's right-clicking 2 heroes that have no armor, right? Got 0 armor, 1 armor on Phoenix. So your right-clicks do a lot of damage. So just take a creep and hit people. Just hit them. This should be a completely free lane for you. I really, really don't think you need to be doing any of this stuff on the side of the lane. Like, you have a DK who's super tanky. You're a Chen. Grab a creep and just trade with these guys. Why are you letting them 2v1 you? Just sit in the lane and trade with these guys. Trade them off the wave and let your DK free farm. You're doing all this weird stuff when you could just be sitting in the lane and your DK could be free farming. I mean, he's still free farming, but you're also feeding and you're not really pressuring these heroes. Now DK dies because they're having a good time. Just literally grab any creep and hit these people. Once again, we're playing to the side of the lane. We're being caught out. So when you enter a lane, try to be realistic about whether you can trade with them. And this is a wonderful lane because you can. You can actually trade with the heroes in the lane. So you should be the ones forcing them out of lane. You're like willingly leaving the lane and allowing them to have a free game, and then they're killing you while you're outside of the lane. But you plus DK is stronger than Pudge Phoenix, period. Like, you do more damage than them. You have more sustain. Just sit next to the DK and right-click the Pudge is basically all you have to do in this lane.
My thrift rewarded.
And Chen is one of the few support heroes that it's actually okay to jungle with because you want to be rotating through the camps. So secure your DK's lane, jungle a bit, get some centaurs, go gank the Tinker. Spend all of your time messing with the Tinker once DK's lane is secured. But first you have to secure the lane. So, you know, he's having a pretty good time at this point. I think he could be better, but he's having a pretty good lane. So now you need to basically just find ways to kill this Tinker. Storm is level 6, so I'd love to see you ganking him now. If you had some creeps, you can tank the tower with the creeps. You can enable your Storm to just dive the Tinker. Going back to the bottom lane, probably not necessary. DK shouldn't die, especially if you have a ward set up for him. But DK definitely doesn't need any help to 1v1 a Pudge at all. And Tinker is the most important hero on the enemy team. So help your Storm Spirit kill the Tinker a couple of times. Suddenly your game becomes very easy.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Invisibility.
What? You're asking about your impact. So far, I haven't felt much. I'm gonna be honest. I know I'm being a little bit negative, but I haven't really felt any impact of Chen in this game. Now we're top. Why are we top? What does going top serve? Are we trying to pressure a timber saw that's free farmed for the entire game? Do we have any way to kill this guy? I would say no. Why have we not pressured Tinker at all this entire game? We don't even have any wards watching him farm. So let's think about our priorities in this game. Like who's important? How do we pressure them? What are the power spikes that we're playing for? I mean, I think that if you just have the Storm have a free game snowballing, DK have a free game snowballing, this game's super easy. But right now, like, why are we just top hitting jungle creeps? We could be taking bottom tower. DK is strong enough to take towers. We should be taking that tower. We should be rotating mid. We should be taking Tinker's tower so he has less free farm, less map control. You're a Chen, man. I said you could jungle a little bit, but you gotta jungle with the purpose of getting some creeps so that you can run at towers. That's like what this hero does, is he runs at towers. Also, most people are not going Helmet Dominator this early on. From what I've seen, as far as professional Chen players, like No Tail, Puppy, Kuroki, it's literally mech. No brown boots. You just go straight mech, and then you just run at towers with your team. I think that probably works pretty well in this game too, because how do they stop you from pushing other than with Timbersaw? And even Timbersaw is susceptible to dying because you have an AA. So I think you pretty much just go straight mech, and then you just snowball with your DK and run the game over. You can go Dominator later, I suppose, but you definitely want to go mech. You definitely want to go Greaves. And then somebody needs to build a pipe on your team. Hopefully the Sand King is building a pipe. He's going Urn first. But yeah, we're 20 minutes into the game, and you guys have taken one tier 1 tower, which is in a lane that you were not even in. So, once again, I have to say, you know, like, what is the point of playing this hero? It's to snowball the game very early with your creeps, take towers very early, take away map control, and group up in team fight with your team. And so far, we've spent about 20 minutes jungling, not ganking, not pushing with our team, just farming. Just farming on Chen. And at this point, because we haven't really exerted any map pressure at all, 21 minutes, still tier 1 bottom, still tier 1 mid up. Tinker, Boots Travel, Blink Dagger, Aether Lens, Timbersaw, Bloodstone, Pudge, Pipe, almost has a Blade Mail of his own. Like, you guys have basically allowed a very, very greedy lineup. Let's be honest. Earthshaker greedy, Phoenix greedy, Tinker greedy, Pudge greedy, Timbersaw not so greedy, but kind of greedy. You've just allowed them to free farm and hit their timings because you're not taking away their map control. And that is the #1 purpose of playing Chen. Yeah, I completely agree with what Vegan Immortal is saying. You just group up with your DK and you just take their towers. There's nothing they can do about it. All right. And yeah, itemization, I mean, seems fine as long as you have a pipe, you're fine. Greaves, obviously very good. Vlad seems fine. You have a Glimmer already. You have a Vessel. Like, I would say your itemization overall as a team is totally fine. Storm not getting a BKB is a bit of a problem, but other than that, looks pretty good to me. I mean, you guys even have a Lotus Orb for the Tinker Hex, so it seems fine to me. I just don't think that you played the hero correctly in terms of pressuring them enough. So they were able to get a ton of items, as you can see. And this is a very hard team to teamfight if you guys give them free reign of the entire game. All right. I think we will end our replay review there. And we'll probably head over to the old Twitch stream and play a couple of games. I might even work on a tier list while I'm over there. So here's the link. We'll see you guys there in about 5 minutes. Thanks for watching. See you soon.